What's going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to another episode of the Bring the Juice Colts podcast. Colts came off of a good win against the Houston Texans this last week, and we basically are on a bye week. We have about a week and a half to prepare for this upcoming game, and quite possibly could be the most important game of the NFL season for the Indianapolis Colts the rest of the way, and from all of it. And that is the New England Patriots. So a lot to discuss here, but ultimately we'll get into a lot more of that as the week goes along. But we kind of wanted to talk a little bit more about the Carson Wentz trade. And, everyone's still kind of talking about whether or not it was worth the first round pick that we're about to give up. Right now, Carson Wentz played 99% of the snaps of the season, and I think with just maybe 10 more snaps in 2 weeks, the Colts are going to have to give up the first-round draft pick that we acquired Carson Wentz with. And everyone's kind of been asking the same question. Was it worth what we gave up? So I kind of wanted to go ahead and talk about those details just a little bit more, maybe kind of give it a little more perspective. And then I'm assuming most of Colts Nation is in agreement that it was a good idea to have Carson Wentz do what he did. And I think most people agree now that it's worth the first round pick, but it didn't really start that way. A lot of people kept saying, we should keep him out for 5 to 6 weeks just to ensure that we keep that pick. When he had that foot problem, everyone was already wanting to ride him off already and didn't even give him a chance to show what he could do on the football field. Right? And through what Carson Wentz has been able to do so far, and we'll get into the stats here in a second, it's truly incredible what he's able to do right now. We talk about it right now, and we look at the contract that Carson Wentz is given right now. Right now, in that current contract that he was being given away, it was the 4-year, $128 million contract, right? Well, the thing is that was with Philly, and obviously the Colts are not giving him all of that, right? We currently, right now, this season, the Colts are giving him a base salary of $15.5 million, with 5.9 in roster bonuses, and next year it'll be around $28 million, and then it'll be slightly less in year 3 and 4 based off of how the Colts progressing. But needless to say, they're paying him less than $22 million a year, right? So if you looked at it from the perspective of what it is, just look at the contracts of some of these other quarterbacks that are getting paid right now. Let's just look at who is getting paid this year more than $22 million. Well, let's look. You got Patrick Mahomes. You got Josh Allen, Dak Prescott, Deshaun Watson, who, by the way, is not playing at the moment, so whatever. Russell Wilson, Jared Goff, Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, Matt Ryan, Ryan Tannehill, Jimmy Garoppolo, Matt Stafford, Derek Carr, and heck, even Tom Brady's getting paid $25 million this year, but I think they cut that down a little bit. So needless to say, close to half the quarterbacks in the league are getting paid more than Carson Wentz right now. And would you say that, I like to value the quarterbacks based off of, how good they are on the field, right? I know we've gone away from that perspective and everyone just wants to pay each new quarterback a record-breaking amount of money to keep them on their team if they feel like they're the next generation or they're the next parts of their franchise, right? Truly, I believe that Carson Wentz is playing like a top 10 quarterback right now, at least in the very back end of that top 10. No question about it in my mind. I definitely believe that his contract right now is better than what it is that some of these other quarterbacks are getting paid, right? So that in and of itself is a initiative to tell you that Carson Wentz's contract already alone makes him worth the first round draft pick that we're about to give up, right? Because you're not having to pay him a ton of money going forward. You're not paying him elite level quarterback money per yearly salary for what you're getting, but you're still getting really good quarterback play. So that in and of itself is a good thing, right? And then you look at it from a stat perspective. Okay, so I mean, I can go ahead and also pull up other quarterback stats and make sure to give you guys everything that's going on. So we look at it from a passing yards perspective. Carson Wentz right now in the NFL, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Only 10 quarterbacks in the NFL with more passing yards than Carson Wentz currently. And remember, all the stats that Carson Wentz has, all of it in the sense is the fact that he also has one of the best rushing attacks in the NFL on his side, right? So he's not having to worry as much as throwing the amount of passing yards because the Colts are able to run the football the way that they want, right? So you look at it now, who has the best completion percentage when you're looking at it from a total? Carson Wentz right now, the passing efficiency in and of itself, really not that great. I mean, but he is completing over 63% of his passes, which, we kind of talked about it. It's really not, a lot of Wentz's fault so far. I felt that he's been doing much better than what we give him credit for. I mean, right now, Carson Wentz completing almost 63.5% of his passes, almost 3,000 yards, 2,948 to be exact, 22 touchdowns to 5 interceptions in 13 games played so far. Still has 4 more left. Could potentially get that 30 touchdowns passing. Has a rushing touchdown here and there. All this. And again, 7 games this year where he has had a QB rating of over 100. And that's very, very impressive from Carson Wentz and what he's been able to do, transcending into what he is now. And then you just look at the touchdowns responsible for. Carson Wentz is the 10th best quarterback in touchdowns thrown right now, only one behind Joe Burrow, who, again, by the way, also has 14 interceptions. He's one behind Burrow, Rodgers, and Prescott, even with everything that's been going on, right? And the interception totals. You look at it here, amongst the starting quarterbacks in the NFL, he's only got 5, and the only other starting quarterbacks so far this year that I can say have less interceptions, Aaron Rodgers, who again missed a week or 2 here and there. Aaron Rodgers hadn't been throwing as many touchdowns as him, though. And Russell Wilson as well, who, again, has missed a good chunk of the season. And it's impressive at what the numbers he's been able to do with everything going on. And then what were some of the other knocks that we had on Carson Wentz, right? You talk about it. Why is he worth the first-round draft pick, right? What did we need to see from Carson Wentz to be able to say he's worth a first-round draft pick? Well, he's clearly better than any of the quarterbacks coming out of the draft. That's number 1. Number 2, is he better than any of the quarterbacks that came out of this year's draft? So far, yes. Has he been healthy and has he been reliable and staying on the field? Yes, he has. He had the ankle problem from before, but they were able to fix it. Before the season started, he had the 2 ankles that were the issue in week 2 going into week 3, but nevertheless, he still played through that, still gave us a chance to win. We had chances to win after that. And then the other question was he able to play? He's answered that. He's a top 10 quarterback in touchdowns, or he's, again, easily top 10 quarterback in turnovers forced. That's easy. Is still a very effective passer, has taken control of the game. Has he shown he has a killer instinct? Some of you may disagree with this, and that's fine. You can be wrong on it. He has that killer instinct, and he has shown it time and time again. There were multiple times that Carson Wentz put this Colts team in a chance to win games when the rest of the team just didn't follow suit. There were times, remember, after the first Tennessee game, the Baltimore game, the Rams game, a few other games along the way, we were saying, man, if the defense had stepped up, if the play calling would have been better, if the offensive line would have stepped up, if the coordinators would have done a better job, Carson Wentz would have put us in a great position to win a football game. And we were saying that, like, is Carson Wentz going to come in and lose us games? So far, I think there's really only been one game where I can definitively sit there and say that Carson Wentz had almost as equal blame as everyone else on there. So far, that's not been an issue. And then you talked about the leadership. Was he going to be a cancer to the locker room? And first I'll say this. If anyone hasn't seen Lawrence Owens' Colts Laws video on YouTube of him talking with Bobby Okereke, I highly encourage you to go check that out because it feeds into my next point. Bobby Okereke talked about, what Carson Wentz has been to the locker room and talking about having that killer instinct and galvanizing the team around him. A lot of people fed into the Philadelphia nonsense that this guy was a cancer to the locker room and that he's afraid of competition. Well, we've seen the team, we've seen the players, we've seen the coaches all say tremendous things about Carson Wentz. And not only his play, but what kind of a man he is. I know we liked a couple people like to use the vaccine argument against Carson Wentz as well. But you talk about, everyone was questioning the leadership of this guy. And, it's been proven time and time again that Carson Wentz has been a good fit for this team and has been able to provide them good things down the road. And I personally am very excited to see what Carson Wentz does into the future. And I truly believe that Carson Wentz was worth our first-round draft pick. Let me know what you guys think going in, because obviously some people have different opinions on that. I think he's worth it. Let me know what you think. But thank you guys again so much for the continued support. Let us know what your thoughts are on this video. And as always, go Colts.